When you think about it, there has been a lot of stuff that's happened at this track considering how young it is. I want to start a new series on my channel. The Australian Touring Car Championship / Supercars has had plenty of great tracks appear on the calendar, and I want to talk about them on the eve or the weekend before the event. This is going to be a special occasion. Plus, there are a few other tracks around Australia that don't host the Supercars. I'm looking at you, Phillip Island and Winton. You've got plenty of history. So I want to be talking about all like the magic moments, I'm going to call, at this track during this event. And starting out in the first one being Sydney Motorsport Park. If you like this video and you want to see more, give a like and a subscribe. The support would be very much appreciated considering I want to do more stuff on YouTube in 2025. So, Sydney Motorsport Park. The track actually opened in 1990 and it was known as Eastern Creek back then. The track quickly grabbed the Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix off Phillip Island and had it for 5 years, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm a four-wheel channel. I'm sure there's someone that's better talking about the two-wheel side of things that can talk about that sort of stuff. But there was actually a touring car event that opened the track. The 1990 Nissan Sydney 500 was the first ever race to appear at Eastern Creek, and Larry Perkins and Thomas Mazura managed to win it in a Holden Commodore. The first Australian Touring Car Championship race was actually in 1992, in the final year of the Group A format. And the winner of that round was John Bell, which would be the second of his third rounds that season to finish fourth in points, I think he did. And another event happened for the first time in the 1992 calendar, the Winfield Triple Challenge. Now this was usually in late January, and it would usually consist of touring cars, motorbikes and drag racing. And I'm going to talk about the touring car side of things. Considering who sponsored it, the irony of who won it every year is not to be questioned. It was usually the Peter Jackson team of Glenn Seton Racing winning these events. Glenn Seton won the first three, and Alan Jones, the 1980 Formula 1 champion, won the last one. And there's a bit of a moment I want to talk about in that last one that is a very big turning point in that year's championship before the season even started. The defending champion going into that year was Mark Scaife, but unfortunately he would have a big crash at the end of the main straight, hitting the concrete barriers that would be for the drag racing, and not only writing off and absolutely killing GMS 002, but also injuring Mark Scaife, and he would be out for the first round of the season. The next season in 1996, they would change things up massively. Not only would they run the short track, so they would go left at turn 4 instead of right, but they would turn the lights on and run it as a night race. And this would be the first night race that the Australian Touring Car Championship would have, well, I know in the V8 era, but for a very long time, if ever. This event was also notable for being Craig Lowndes' first championship start, race win and round win. So it was a good start for someone that would get a few more of those in later years in his career. Eastern Creek would be off the calendar for the first time in 1998, but in 1999 it would come back for the first round of the championship, and it would have a capacity grid of 40 cars. Mark Scaife would win that year, and it would be the first year of his revenge tour of Eastern Creek. After injuring him in 1995, he would then get his comeuppance, winning the next 4, winning from 1999 to 2002. Dominance rarely ever seen at a track, and if you were driving anything other than a Holden Racing Team car, you were out of luck. There were a few people that won races that weren't in a Holden Racing Team car. Paul Rudisich got his first race win ever in 2000, but round winners, it was always Scaife or no one. For 2003 and 2004, they would host 2 rounds of the championship. One that would typically be at the early rounds of the series, so about round 3 or round 4, and then one right at the end of the championship. And it's this final round in 2003 that I want to talk about because it had 2 very important moments in it. First one, they had a full field shootout. Yes, that's right, a 32 car shootout. It was for a contest that VB was hosting, and a lucky fan would draw a number out of the hat. So there'd be 32 fans and they'd draw a number out of the hat. And whatever number they drew was what car they were tied to. And if you drew the winner, you won a year's supply of VB beer. So for those that don't like VB, it was more of a punishment than a reward. But it was more of a punishment if you drew number 99, because that was the number that David Theakston had. And he didn't qualify at all, because he didn't pass the 107% rule. The winner of that was Mark Scaife, and he was also involved in the second moment, the thing that's been subsequently dubbed the Shriek at the Creek. Coming out of turn 9, he and Russell Ingall were in a bit of a scrap. He would push Russell wide a teeny tiny bit, and the enforcer, being the enforcer, did not like that whatsoever. So he just flat out dumped Mark Scaife off the corner in between turn 9 and turn 10. So Mark would do the sensible thing and wait for him to come around and stand at the side of the track, telling him what he thought of the moment, and Russell Ingall would swerve towards him, and both drivers got really in trouble for it. It was probably the most famous moment at the track ever, and they really missed an opportunity to recreate this 20 years later, because coincidentally, both cars not only exist, but are in the 2003 war paint. So you can easily just recreate this moment. Craig Lowndes did win again at the track in 2005, and it would be the first win for Triple Eight Race Engineering for a race. It's a shame they didn't really win much after that. 2007 would be another Mark Scaife round win, but it was noted for breaking a long record held in the Australian Touring Car Championship. It was his 38th round win, and that broke the record that Peter Brock stood for a long time for the most wins in the Australian Touring Car Championship history for round wins. This event was also notable because Jamie Whincup got a disqualification for an illegal brake rotor, and he would subsequently lose the championship by 2 points that year. So this really mattered. Because Homebush around the Sydney Olympic Park was put on the calendar for 2009, Eastern Creek was put back on the shelf for a decent amount of years, 3 years in fact, but it would come back in 2012 under a new identity. Sydney Motorsport Park would be the new name of the track, even though a lot of us fans still call it Eastern Creek, and there would be a few changes to it as well. Not only the name would be different, but there would be a slight alteration to turn 6 and new paint for the venue. We're going for a blue and black look with a few new names for corners. Turn 2 would be called the Bond Bend after Colin Bond, and turn 5 would be turn 05 for obvious reasons. Jamie Whincup would have a few big milestones here in the mid-2010s. Not only in 2016 did he get his 100th race win in the Australian Touring Car Championship, but he would get his 106th next year. And that matters because that would break the record for the most race wins in the series, leapfrogging Craig Lowndes. For 2018, it was a big year for the track. They decided to reinvent the race to be a super night. So it would be raced towards the late evening to early night part, and it would put on a hell of a race. It was the most popular event for 2018, so they subsequently dropped it for some fucking reason. Although they did keep the Super Night moniker, they just moved it over to Perth. Because of the work from home virus, Sydney Motorsport Park was an important event for when Supercars did come back in 2020 and in 2021. In those 2 years alone, the track hosted 6 rounds of the championship, and then subsequently hosted the first round of 2022. So we got 7 rounds in the span of 3 years. And a lot of those you got 4 SMP rounds in 2021, right towards the end of the year. So you got 4 SMP rounds, then Bathurst, then go back to SMP. So we were quite drained of Sydney Motorsport Park for quite a while there. But from 2022 onwards, it has come back to 1 round a season and has gotten that identity as being the night race. It's not always been the most exciting racing, but last year in 2024, that first race that Chaz Mostert won to beat Matt Payne on strategy was a brilliant race. Sydney Motorsport Park needs to stay on the calendar no matter what. It is an important part of the championship, as being the only Sydney event in the series now that the Amaroo and Oran Park circuits are gone. So it's just as much of an importance as the likes of your Sandowns, your Tasmanias and all that. So I hope they keep this event on the calendar for many more years to come with many more memorable moments. So that's my first video of the Magic Moments series at Sydney Motorsport Park. If you like this video and you want to see more of this series, give a like and a subscribe. The support would be very much appreciated. For those that don't have TikTok and Instagram, I might start doing a quick news recap video on the Fridays, or uploading on the Fridays but recorded on the Thursday. So all the news from Friday to Thursday I will cover on a new video that I will upload. So I hope to see you guys for the next video.